For decades, we've been told that the holy grail of getting healthy is just watching that number on the scale go down, right? We celebrate every single drop it pound like it's this huge victory. But in this explainer, we're going to look at the hard clinical data to show you why that traditional focus on pure weight loss is actually completely misunderstood, and frankly, how it might secretly be wrecking your metabolic health.
So ask yourself this really profound question. When the scale drops, what are you actually losing? We all have this illusion that every pound we shed is just a pound of pure body fat. But your body is incredibly complex. That drop in scale weight, well, it could be water, it could be fat, or, terrifyingly, it could be the very tissue that keeps you functionally young, mobile, and, well, alive. A drop in scale weight is absolutely not always a victory.
Okay, let's dive into this. We are entirely too obsessed with scale weight. You know, that number you anxiously check in the bathroom every single morning. We have got to forcibly pivot our focus away from that number and onto our skeletal muscle mass. Because skeletal muscle, it's arguably the most vital organ system in your entire body. It's literally the engine that drives your metabolism. It regulates your blood glucose, and it literally holds your skeleton together. When we just chase scale weight without protecting our muscle, we're trading long-term function for short-term cosmetic validation.
To show you just how critical this is, 40%. If you're taking those highly effective GLP-1 medications like semaglutide or tirzepatide for weight loss, the clinical data reveals a pretty startling reality. Up to 40% of the total weight you lose on these meds can come directly from lean muscle tissue, not just fat. I mean, imagine losing 50 pounds, but 20 pounds of that was the very muscle keeping your metabolism burning. Without an active strategy to prevent it, the medication delivers that scale number you want, but quietly removes the protective tissue that actually determines your long-term health. And hey, if you aren't on a GLP-1, do not think you're immune to this. 1%. The science shows us that adults over 40 lose an average of 1% of their skeletal muscle every single year without active resistance training. It's kind of this silent drain of aging. You might weigh the exact same at 50 as you did at 30, but your body composition has drastically shifted. By the time you hit 80, you could lose up to half of your muscle mass if you aren't actively training against this decline. Wild, right? Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that muscle loss isn't just about feeling a little weaker. It is a massive health liability. Dr. Peter Adia points out in our source material that comparing individuals with high muscle mass against those with low strength reveals a staggering 250% increased mortality risk for the weaker group. Seriously, let that sink in for a second. Losing your strength isn't just cosmetic. It drastically increases your risk of all-cause mortality. It literally accelerates aging across the board.
Part 1. The Paradigm Shift. The 100-gram protein floor.
So how do we actually stop this dangerous biological decline? Well, we need a paradigm shift. Enter the 100-gram protein floor. Now listen, this is not a suggestion. This is a non-negotiable biological baseline. For adults over 40, and especially for those of you on appetite suppressants, you absolutely must consume a minimum of 100 grams of high-quality protein every single day. If you dip below this threshold, your body will literally break down your own muscle tissue for energy. Your metabolism will slow down, and you'll even start to see physical signs of malnourishment, like fatigue and hair thinning. 100 grams is the absolute floor. Period.
We really have to reframe how we view our bodies. Skeletal muscle is your biological armor. Think of it strictly as your metabolic engine and your absolute primary defense against physical aging. It's the organ that disposes of excess carbohydrates, which keeps your insulin sensitivity sharp. It's what prevents you from taking a bad fall when you're 70. Basically, every single gram of protein you eat is a brick used to reinforce this armor.
Part 2. Actionable tactics. Distributing your daily target. So, the crucial point is we know the target, 100 grams minimum. But you can't just eat a massive 100-gram steak at dinner and call it a day. That is just not how your body processes protein. To maximally stimulate muscle protein synthesis, which is the biological process of repairing and building muscle, you've got to distribute your protein optimally across smaller meals. Research consistently shows that targeting 20 to 35 grams of protein per eating occasion, spread across 4 to 5 smaller meals, is the absolute sweet spot. Let's walk through this strict feeding strategy so you can see exactly what hitting the target looks like in the real world, taking all the guesswork out of it. If you break your day into 5 eating occasions, it actually becomes incredibly manageable. For example, 7:30 a.m., grab a Greek yogurt bowl for 30 grams. 10:30 a.m., a protein shake or a couple of eggs gets you 20 grams. 1:30 p.m., a chicken wrap for 30 grams. 4 p.m., some cottage cheese or a high-protein snack for 15 grams. And 7 p.m., a piece of salmon or lean beef for 30 grams. Just like that, you hit over 120 grams of protein, and you did it effortlessly by hitting that 25 to 35 gram sweet spot at every single turn.
Part 3. Overcoming the barrier. Beating a suppressed appetite.
Okay, let's address the elephant in the room here, particularly for those of you using GLP-1s. What happens when your appetite is just completely gone? We have to face the harsh clinical reality of severe nausea and early fullness. You need low-friction, highly actionable workarounds that require zero chef skills. Because when your appetite is incredibly low, volume is your worst enemy. You need density. First up, the 2-minute shake. A pre-made protein shake like Fairlife or Premier Protein packs an easy 30 grams. On bad nausea days, just slowly sip it over 30 minutes. Second, Greek yogurt power bowls. They're cold, smooth, and incredibly easy on the stomach, packing over 30 grams with zero cooking. And finally, rely on liquid nutrition sipping. Small, nutrient-dense inputs. You don't skip meals, you just shrink the volume and maximize the protein.
And this brilliantly illustrates the necessity of choosing high-density protein sources. When your appetite is suppressed and every single bite literally has to count, density is everything. To get 30 grams of protein from chickpeas, you'd have to eat a massive volume of food, which is honestly nearly impossible on a GLP-1. But to get that same 30 grams from chicken breast or a piece of salmon, you only need about 3 to 4 ounces. Now, while plant foods are fantastic for fiber, for hitting your strict protein targets efficiently, you really need to rely on dense animal sources or specialized protein powders. So here is your immediate call to action. There is no neutral state in your body. You are either actively protecting your muscle tissue or you are actively losing it. I want you to literally add up your protein from yesterday. Be brutally honest with yourself. If it was under that 100-gram baseline, you need to increase it today. Add 1 protein shake. Add 1 Greek yogurt. Biological consistency completely overrides perfection here. You don't need a flawless diet. You just need to consistently hit that protein floor every single day.
I want to leave you with this final, vital thought. We're out here taking medications, improving our diets, and exercising to extend our lives, but living years longer means nothing if you're not living years stronger, right? What good is living to 90 if you don't have the functional muscle mass to pick up your grandchildren, or even stand up from a chair unassisted? So ask yourself, will you let the scale trick you into aging faster, or will you start building your biological armor today?